fighting and wrestling around in the lobby. They fly into like this cardboard box.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Portable Trevor here, and today we have a very special guest. He's a YouTube movie reviewer, and we've been talking on and off for the past couple of weeks about doing some projects together. Please welcome John Flickinger. What's up, man?
Hey there, guys. Yeah, it's going well. Thanks for having me, man. I'm ready to go, ready to talk about some stuff. I have a little Samuel Adams here that's been sitting in the back of my refrigerator for about 3.5 weeks, but I figured it was time to pull it out and celebrate.
That's a great way to celebrate. Doing a show, cracking a brewski.
Yeah, a brewski. Yeah, it makes me feel like a man drinking it. It's good. Yeah, it's a lager. It makes me feel tough.
Heck yeah. I love when people ask, or I know you didn't, but I've had a couple guests ask me, like, is it cool if I drink? I'm like, dude, you're in quarantine. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
like,
what I mean,
you gotta find ways to cope with this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. To be honest with you, I was just all out of Diet Dr. Pepper, and I was like, I need something with a little bit of like carbonation to it. So that's what we're doing here.
Is that your favorite Diet Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, it's I used to like Diet Coke, and then I got too acidic, and I noticed it was eating away the lining of my mouth. Ooh. And then I went to Diet Dr. Pepper, and I'm like, ooh, this is where I should be. And it's something about that flavor. It's just you can't. It's so good. I prefer it. Yeah. What do you drink?
Drinkers. I've actually tried to steer away from soda, even though I went to Taco Bell like 2 hours ago and got a Mountain Dew Baja Blast. But
oh man,
that's the South, so yeah. I love sweet tea. So.
Really?
My sweet drink.
Yeah, I can't see. I'm not a tea guy. That's the one beverage it's not tasty to me at all. A little too tart or something. Yeah, no, I can't do it. A Baja Blast though, I haven't had one of those since 1997, man. That actually sounds kind of good.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I think in like maybe 2015, 2016, they were like, hey, we should release this in stores. And I remember all my buddies were like, dude, we got to buy all of them. So we like went to like a bunch of gas stations and bought all the bottles.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, I like
weird time.
See, I like the scumminess of going to Taco Bell to get it though. I like it to be in like a paper cup when I drink it. If it's in a bottle, I'm like, this is just like everything else. I need that like that taint of Taco Bell on the Baja Blast when I drink it.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like the exclusivity of like drinking a Coke like in a glass bottle.
Yeah,
like
it's just it's not about the drink, it's about the experience. That's what I like to say.
About the experience of what it feels like when it touches my mouth.
Yeah,
I want to be in this greasy Taco Bell with this paper cup.
Yes,
drinking about Baja Blast.
This carbureted sugar water just going into my gullet is just everything I've ever imagined in my life.
But yeah, that's why these people are watching the show right now, to hear us talk about beverages.
Well, absolutely.
Beverage podcast.
Absolutely, guys. So yeah, what did you want to talk about?
But yeah, dude, my show's mostly been about my guests, and really it's just like I want to learn more about you, like rather than like what you do. We're definitely like I want to talk about that, but like so first of all, like what have you been doing in quarantine, man?
Dude, kind of the same thing more or less than I've always done. So I work at home, I make YouTube videos, and I'm a weirdo in many ways. See, I like to go to the gym. I have like an hour a day. Well, I have like an hour a day of like energy I can give. Outside of that, I just want to lay down in the fetal position and watching trash TV. But yeah, lately I've just been waking up at like mid-afternoon. I get some food. I still get carry out. Where I live, basically everything that I utilize is open except for like movie theaters or the gym right now, which I think opens up this week, oddly enough. But yeah, it's kind of the same old thing. I sort of take comfort in knowing that I can stay home and be lazy and I'm still doing my part. So I sort of like that.
Yeah, it's your civic duty to do nothing. This is the only time you can contribute to society.
Yeah, finally, all these years of practicing have paid off. So I'm good. I'm able to be a recluse and be content. I can just watch YouTube videos all day. I take my dog for a walk around the neighborhood, and occasionally we go on hikes away from people out in the middle of nowhere, and it's sort of therapeutic. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. And the weird thing is, the little things right now in life are so exciting, right? it's almost like you feel like you're Indiana Jones and Raiders or something every time you need to go to like the grocery store. It's kind of like a dangerous journey, and everything you touch might be the last thing you touch before like a big boulder chases you out of the store. But
It's like
yeah,
the
man.
Last Crusade. Like if you pick the wrong cup.
Yeah. Like you're done. It's over. So yeah, that's fun. Like going to Walmart's funner now than it ever has been. It's weird too. You feel like you're in like another universe because people are walking around with rubber gloves on and face masks, and it's like a futuristic dystopia or something. It's a bizarre time. It really is.
Really is. And I love your videos that you've been doing. You've been doing these vlogs where you like go to Walmart and pick up. You did one where you like picked up Casino Royale on 4K. And
Yeah.
I think those are so fascinating because like I don't know. There's a lot of people that are saying like, no, dude, streaming. That's all I need. I don't need all these Blu-rays. But you're very you're an advocate for buy Blu-rays. That's what I have, and I see a bunch of them behind you right now.
Yeah, that's my nerd status symbol right there. That accreditates me as a guy who talks about movies. You have to have your movies. But the truth is, I probably watch the same 20 of them over and over again. The rest are just props at this point. But yeah, I am an advocate for like physical media. I don't think streaming has caught up to it yet as far as like picture quality, audio quality goes. And just the process, the journey of going to get that movie is fun to me. I like to go out, pick it up. It's like the gatherer hunter mentality, the caveman mentality. I still have it, except I'm not going out and killing fish and bringing them home. I'm going out to Walmart and buying a movie. And I like that process. I like physically holding the movie and putting it in there. And it's all about the experience to me. That's what it is. And, but streaming, if there's a movie I love, I watch the physical copy because it's not compressed. The audio sounds good. The picture quality is good. On Netflix or Amazon Prime, it's like I can just see this compression in front of the image. It's like watching TV with saran wrap wrapped around the TV, and I can't do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I watch a shit ton of streaming and stuff like that because I'm sometimes just too lazy to physically put the movie in. But having the movies make me feel better. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I totally get that because sometimes I'll still buy, like, sometimes I want to support an artist and they'll be like, hey, if you buy it now or whatever, we'll send you a CD and we'll sign it or a vinyl. And I have some, like, on my nerd shelf right here, like a Ninja Sex Party is one of them, Tupperware Remix Party. And I have, like, those signed. It just, like, felt good to hold it in my hands instead of, like, just listening to it on Spotify and giving them 3 cents for my listen instead of, $25.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the physical. You gotta hold it. You gotta cherish it. That's my thing. It's just sooner or later everything will be living on a digital platform, and it just feels so empty and hollow. And I'm not ready to let go just yet. I'm a weirdo. Like I use a lot of technology to do what I do for a living, like cameras, software, editing, but I don't even understand half of it. Like I just get lucky. I don't even know how things work, honestly. Like live streaming, I started doing weekly live stream shows a couple months ago, and to get those to look the way I wanted to took like 2 years of research to finally figure out how to encode software and have this image pop up when I needed it to pop up. And yeah, I'm definitely not that tech savvy. Yeah. What are we talking about right now? I forgot where I was going with that.
We were talking about like holding stuff in your hand.
Yeah, like, I started going off on a rampage about like
no, it's totally fine, dude.
Like my handicap technical abilities. Yeah.
But dude, that's awesome. I'm really worried about all these streaming platforms that are also coming out because eventually it's just going to be like, well, it's going to be like having TV. Oh, let me flip to Disney Plus. Oh, let me go back to ABC Family Plus or whatever they're going to call it. So I don't always buy Blu-rays or physical stuff, but when I do, it just feels good, and I'm like, I got to pop this in. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing about streaming services, there's too many of them. Like at some point you have to have 27 streaming services. You have to sign in at each one of them at different times and like set it all up, and they all have different content on them. Some of them have the same content, and it's just like it's becoming more of a hassle than anything, in my opinion. It's just like if you want to have a movie, here are your movies. You just pick those. And here's where I'm truly weird. I get overwhelmed and I'm very indecisive. When I have too many options, I end up picking nothing. But if you just give me like 300 movies, okay, I can pick one of those movies. I'm just weird. Less is more to me, I suppose.
No, I totally get. I remember the movie rental store in my hometown. It was called Movie Magic, and it was attached to a pizza shop too. So
Oh yeah.
I remember like on the weekends, my mom would drive in and she'd be like, she order a pizza and she'd be like, okay, go pick out a movie or a video game or whatever. And I'd go in there for like as long as it took to make the pizza, and she'd be like, all right, you ready? And I'm like, I still don't know what I want. There's too many options.
Oh, dude, I miss those days. I had something similar when I was growing up. I lived in this super small town. So get this, it was the pizza shop, it was the video rental store, and it was the gas station all in one.
A gas station? That's
yeah.
new.
Yeah, it was a combined super convenient store. And the gas station in Ohio, small town Ohio named Convoy, but it had like a drive-through gas station. So you could pull up through like this port, and like you could say what you want, and they go in and grab it and come out and hand it to you in your car. So that, I guess they were ahead of the curve before like that became a normal thing nowadays. But yeah, I always remember like I was allowed to pick out 2 movies. So I'd always get the same movies over and over. Like that was my guarantee, right? Like I'll rent Batman 1989 on VHS, but then I took a risk on the other movie. So like, let's rent the 1980s classic Shocker. So yeah, that's how I discovered a lot of like bizarre, weird movies, just looking at the box art on the VHS and saying, that looks cool. Let's take that home.
Me too. And there was a lot of them that like scared me. I remember I always like saw The Nightmare Before Christmas on the shelf in this one particular spot. For some reason, nobody ever rented it, but I always like saw it and it always creeped me out the way it just looked. And I was like, I don't want to get that one.
Really?
My favorite memory from like movie rental stores. One time I went in wanting the Super Mario Brothers movie for some reason. And and I went up to the cash register and this guy like walked past me, and I go up and I'm like, hey, I can't find the Super Mario Brothers movie. And the store clerk was like, oh, that's because that guy just rented it. And the dude like turns around and hands it to me. He's like, here you go, kid. And I was like,
oh, that's cool.
Dude, thank you. So then I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie and for some reason loved it.
Oh, I was going to say, then you got home and you were highly disappointed. What is this, a giant booger or something? Oh, John Leguizamo in that movie. Yeah, I always remember renting like Addams Family over and over on VHS for some.
Really? It's a weird thing to rent over and over.
Yeah, well, yeah. You mentioned Nightmare Before Christmas, and it kind of has like that same gothy look to it. But yeah, it was so weird. Some of the things you rent as a kid, or especially like some of the games you rent for like SNES. Growing up, what did you play? SNES or?
I grew up at the tail end of the SNES, sort of, but I was mostly in the Nintendo 64 era.
Me too. I went from SNES to N64. I didn't get into PlayStation until I was like a teenager. But yeah, what was your favorite game on N64?
Oh, dude, mostly Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie and Super Smash Bros. I played the crap out of all 3 of those.
Nice. I liked racing games for some reason. It was just like back to the thing I was saying, like when you play like Mario N64, Banjo and Kazooie, you can go too many places, and I just would get lost. And then I'm like, but a racing game, it's just like you go from the finish line or the starting line to the you just get, and cruising USA on N64.
Yeah,
like you get to the finish line, there's like pixelated like hot chicks dancing like this with signs. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
I remember I played I think it was Excitebike. There's a 64 version. That was a really cool game.
I loved that game. I was actually gonna say that, but I didn't think you'd even know what I was talking about. I used to build like my own tracks and do all the cool stunts, and I remember the one guy's name was like Nigel. I always picked Nigel. He was like a British motocross star or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember my dad bought it because my dad, like, his side thing was racing motorcycles. So he, like, got me that game, hoping I would get into motorcycles. And I kind of did.
Yeah.
But then my dad broke his collarbone and he stopped racing. But that's
really?
a completely different story. But is there, like, a cover from your childhood that kind of like the Nightmare Before Christmas that, like, scared you? Mine is Mars Attacks. That cover still haunts me to this day.
Really? The movie haunts me because it's so bad, but... Like one of Tim Burton's worst movies.
Scary.
Yeah,
Like just the eyes of the aliens.
I always just remember like the lady body with the little dog head.
Yeah, that was weird to me.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to remember like a cover that scared me though. There's probably some like B-rate horror film cover that always scared me. But yeah, I guess going back to like the Shocker cover, the 1980s horror film. Uh, have you ever seen Shocker?
No.
Okay, so it's this guy who's a cable TV repairman, and he's like a serial killer. So then he gets arrested and gets executed, but his spirit like lives inside of the cable boxes of people, and he starts like haunting people. And the ending climax to the movie is like him and this dude running through like different TV stations, chasing each other, trying to kill each other. It's bizarre. It's completely bizarre.
The cover, the movie poster looks like a comedy almost.
It does it. It should be a guy in like a convict suit.
Yeah, he's like in a convict suit.
In
To me, it looks like a Jim Carrey. Like,
it looks like a Jim Carrey movie. To me, that looks terrifying. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't know. Something about like capital punishment must have frightened me as a child or something. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Was that your biggest fear?
Capital punishment? I mean, I guess if you get caught for your crimes, that's the price you pay. I don't know, man. I just. Are we gonna get on a tangent about serial killers now? I don't know.
But yeah, dude. So you review movies for a living, and I think it's super rad. Like, not a lot of people hear that kind of career. So, like, how do you explain that to people when they ask, like, "Hey, what do you do?"
I just say I work at Walmart. It's so much easier. Dude, I've had so many over the past years, family members, like the girlfriend's like parents, because that's the biggest concern. So what do you do for a living? Well, I talk about movies online, or you can give the pretentious answer of I'm a content creator.
Ooh.
Yeah, a content creator.
I will never say that.
No, I know. I know. I don't say it either. It makes me cringe inside as well. But yeah, it's always a conversation. If you're like an architect or a teacher, you can just say that, and they're like, okay. But saying you make videos online, they're like, you can make money doing that. Then you have to explain it, and you explain the process, and 25 minutes later, they're still a little bit confused by it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at this point, I just lie or simplify it as much as I actually, the smartest thing I should say, I should just say I work in advertising, because that's really what it all boils down to. That's how you make any money on YouTube anymore, is just advertising. So yeah, I work in advertising. That sounds better. I'll put that on my LinkedIn now.
Yeah, do that. I'm a filmmaker. That's usually what I tell people. But like, I remember when I had to explain it to my grandma, she was like, so do you have like a 401k or anything? And I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah, very few people do these days, grandma. Yeah, you can get one though.
I can, but I shouldn't.
No. Yeah, it's crazy. That's just the gamble you have to take to do what you love. Mm-hmm. You don't get that backup plan, but that kind of drives you almost in a way. Like, you don't have the stock options with your company, or the health insurance, or the 401k, but you're doing what you love, right? So,
oh, absolutely.
And that's the price I'm willing to pay. If I get old and I get sick, well, I guess I'll just die. Or I'll be really poor.
But I think your title is really interesting, because like, everybody loves movies, but not a lot of people, I guess, love it enough to be like, I'm going to dedicate an entire channel to it. So like, how did you get started? Like, did you just wake up one day and you're like, you know what? I love movies and I like talking about them with my friends. I should just talk about it in front of a camera.
Yeah. Well, I started my channel back in like 2010, and I had like one or two friends that they liked movies. They could have a conversation about movies, but they weren't as nerdy or as into it as I was. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching a few YouTube channels about like dudes who went out, bought movies, talked about movies, and just sort of shared their lifestyle. And at the time I was like, that's what I'm doing. Like, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I was like, it kind of a light bulb flickered in my brain. And I was like, I can record that. Okay. So I'll do that. And I've always been into making videos since I was a kid or teenager. In my teenager years, we used to make like these jackass wannabe videos and just have fun with a video camera. And I try to make it but I always had an eye for the way I wanted things to look and film, and making things look cooler than they actually were. So yeah, I remember back in 2010, just like buying this cheap flip cam, and it was like $200. It's, if you don't know what a flip cam is, they're like this all-inclusive little junky square box that looks like a cell phone camera from 2003. And I started making my videos like that, and I started talking about movies and taking it with me. And yeah, I think I just wanted a connection with people, right? I was like, I want to make videos that I would want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more or less how I started. As far as like growing into something I could do for a living, it took like 3 or 4 years, and it somehow just magically happened. I got enough of a following, and then I started making a little bit of money. And then I remember I had a really crappy job, and I worked in a cubicle, and I was delivering pizzas part-time as well. And I got fired from like the pizza job randomly because I had too many points on my license. Yeah, whatever. Screw you, Papa John's. You don't know. Just because I wanted to get the pizzas there on time and I got speeding tickets, I get punished for it. But then I quit my cubicle job because that was just soul stealing. So yeah, and then I remember quitting those jobs and barely making enough money and like living off of a credit card for like 6 months to pay some bills. And then one day I somehow just made enough money that month. And then the next month I made a little bit more, and the next month I made a little bit more. And I'm like, whoa, I'm doing this full time now. And then it went from there. And that was maybe 2013, 2014 where I was able to do it full time.
Dude, that's rad. And I worked at a office job too, and I freaking hated it. And
it's so
then
terrible.
one day I was like, or my friend asked me, he was like, hey, you want to come live with me in Atlanta? And I was like, yes, please get me out of here. So
yeah.
what was that like transition like for you?
The office, well, I worked in this tiny little cubicle, and I always remember looking outside the window at the dudes like doing lawn care work and like putting mulch around the trees. And I'm in my cubicle in my air conditioned little office. And I'm like, I would give anything to be one of those guys down there right now. Like they're just like out there in the sun, like living life. So I remember like the next day I just went in and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. So then I left, and then doing YouTube full time after that was, it's once again, going back to the thing, like it's almost overwhelming sometimes because what you can do is almost unlimited. And then you kind of get stuck on something because you want to perfect it and make it just right. And then by overthinking something, you end up never doing it. Mm-hmm. But doing YouTube is awesome because you get to make your own hours. You talk about what you want more or less. But it's also like terrifying because you never know what's going to happen day to day. And you just hope that YouTube, doesn't shut down or your account doesn't get deleted or something. You just hope. The biggest fear is, if I make a video, will people watch it? That's always my biggest fear. Yeah.
I think another interesting thing about your YouTube journey is like, you kind of came up in like the I'll call it the angry reviewer stage, where it felt like everybody like wanted to just like shit on films all day.
Yeah.
But like people like you came in and you have this like really cool, quirky, positive attitude, and you like make jokes, and it's just like, it's like endearing to see somebody like you like review a movie instead of, I mean, sure, you crap on movies a lot, but like Countdown, you said that was your number one worst movie. But like, what was that like whenever you first started your channel and you were like, you know what, I'm not just going to be a channel that just craps on everything?
Yeah, I do have, the thing with me was I just had like a lot of dark comedy, especially starting out, a lot of weird dark comedy. And I feel like 90% of people probably would not want they'd be kind of like, they shy away from it. But the 10% that liked it, loved it, right? Like, and that's where I built like a niche. But yeah, I always just wanted to show what I was doing. I just wanted to say, here's some really, like, even if I had a bad movie, right? I bought a bad movie, it's terrible, but here's what I like about it. Or I bought it for the sake of, because it's fun or something along those lines. And I just really try to make my stuff more, with my entire YouTube channel, I always wanted to make it more about like my personal connection and make it personable and the lifestyle of watching a movie, not just here's the movie. Like I wanted to make the YouTube channel about me, not just movies. Movies are the backdrop, but really I wanted my personality to be like the focus point.
That's awesome. And that like you really shine in that area. So like a lot of movie reviewers, they want like the movie to shine. So like, you know, it builds up their channel, but that's what's interesting about people like you. You're like, hey, I think I'm fun to watch. So hear me talk about a movie.
Yeah, I always thought it was sort of like future proofing, especially with times like right now. If you're a channel and you sort of just are this like guy and you talk about the newest movie and you give your review, you're in, you're out. Well, like right now, there's no new movies to talk about. So what's your backup plan? What can you make a video about just walking around Walmart talking about nothing? Or do you need that newest topical movie to rely on? And I did not want to rely on that. I just wanted to be able to walk into Walmart, ride a child's bicycle around and make a few jokes and that could be a video. And it has been many videos. So
yeah. And I've seen the comments on some of your videos. And it's like, I could watch John walk around Walmart for hours.
And dude, that is the best compliment I can ever get.
That's so funny. And
Yeah.
what's your affinity with Walmart? Why do you love going to Walmart specifically?
It's the closest thing I have to an alien planet. Okay. I feel like an explorer when I'm in Walmart. Anything can happen. The limitations of Walmart are endless. There's just so many things in there. Like it has movies, it has food, it has like toys, it has props, it has weird people. It's just, and the lighting's pretty good too. So you can just film unlimited videos in Walmart as opposed to like walking around a neighborhood on a sidewalk. You know, there's just sometimes in a video, if I don't have a lot to say, I pick up something, I interact with something, and that gives me some content. So yeah, I think that's my thing with Walmart. And plus it's open all night, or it used to be until like COVID, but yeah, it's open all night. You can go anytime and it's convenient.
What's the weirdest Walmart experience you've had so far?
Oh God. I'm trying to think, like, other than just me being in Walmart, I think everything else has been pretty normal. I mean, I've encountered some weird people, but nothing that stands out off the top of my head, really. I wish I would have maybe encountered some really crazy person in Walmart or something during a video, but that's never happened. Yeah, that's never happened. So I'm still waiting.
My weirdest convenience store like thing that's ever happened to me. I used to work at Target for a year, like back in college, and I remember I was like running the cash register, and this guy, he was like, he was kind of like probably around 50, 60. He was like riding on one of those like motorized scooter things that they have at Walmart or Target. And so I'm like, hey sir, how's it going? And he's like shaking. He looks like super nervous. And I'm like, okay. So he like puts his stuff on and I'm like, whatever. So I start scanning it and he hands me his card and he's just like shaking. And I'm like, dude, you're old, but you're not, I don't think you should be shaking like this. So he gets up and a bunch of toys just like fall out of the bottom of his pants. And I immediately, I'm like, dude. So I like call security and then they like take him in. It was like so bizarre.
Really? What? There were toys.
Yeah, they were like these like little tiny toys, like things you'd get out of like the 50-cent bin or wherever that may be.
Really? See, you know what? Here's the type of employee I am. I would have been like, what are those for? And if you would have said, oh, they're for my kid or something, I would have just turned away and pretend like I didn't see it. Like I wouldn't.
It was just it was like a lot of them. It wasn't like,
oh really?
So I was like, you were clearly trying to steal these and you're like shaking, like you're not a good thief. So they like take him in and he like gave me the eye for like ratting him out, and then I never saw him again.
Oh, so he's no Danny Ocean, that's for sure. Yeah,
totally.
that's crazy.
I wish I would have seen like the other members of his like Ocean's 12 just like like scurrying with toys.
Yeah, like little 50-cent toys shaking in the background. Actually, I do remember one. I have a video of it on my second channel, John Flickinger. I was at Walmart and I recorded, like, speaking of what you just said, it reminded me, this guy's getting caught shoplifting. It's like some liquor or something, and the loss prevention, the undercover security guard, is like holding on to him, and they're fighting and wrestling around in the lobby. They fly into like this cardboard box. They uh, rolling around on the floor.
Oh my god.
And I specifically remember I was there at the Red Box in the lobby of Walmart just renting Larry Crown on a Red Box. I'm like, look at this.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Was that the Tom Hanks movie?
Yeah, that terrible movie. Yeah. Directed by
It just
Tom
looked
Hanks.
so bland.
Oh, it's terrible. But I was like a fan of Tom Hanks. I was like, I'll watch this, and I made it 5 minutes into the movie.
That just reminded me of this. Are you a fan of? Have you heard of this YouTube channel called Nerd Writer?
I
He
don't.
does like film analysis videos.
I probably have seen it. I just can't recall specifically.
I think this is a great topic, but he has a video. I think it's called "The Epidemic of like mediocre movies,"
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not mediocre, but like just bland. And
Yeah.
it's not good. It's not bad. And I was gonna ask, like, how do you feel about that? Because I feel like that's been a huge thing in Hollywood in the past like couple years. Like, you come out of a movie, you're like, that wasn't bad, that wasn't incredible, and then you forget about it 3 hours later.
There's nothing I hate more than what you just said. If I see a movie like that, it insults me more than if it was just terrible. I can't stand that. Like either be great, be terrible and memorable, but if you're gonna play it so safe to where it's just vanilla, it's just nothingness. To me, that's the biggest waste of money, time, and resources in Hollywood. And that's my biggest issue with like a lot of movies. Like some of the movies on my top 10 worst of the year, they weren't necessarily the worst movie of the year, but they were just so, like you said, mediocre. And I think there's no excuse for that. I hate movies that are so safe to please everyone that they end up pleasing no one. And I don't know. I hate that trend in Hollywood. So yeah, I need to watch that guy's channel now.
Yeah, I think the perfect example you put on your worst list was The Lion King. That was probably my least favorite movie last year, just because that is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to see just a shot-for-shot remake of like a National Geographic like B-roll scenes was just like, really? Like,
Yeah.
I saw the trailers and I was like, surely this isn't going to be shot for shot. And then the part where I almost walked to the theater is when Simba goes, no, and like sees a Mufasa die. It's just like,
yeah.
now no emotion. Like in the original, you see it in Simba's eyes. Like, this is the most tragic thing he's ever experienced. And he like goes up, and then just one of the worst tear jerking movie scenes, like, come on, get up, get up. And then in the remake, it's just like, wow, I didn't feel anything.
No, I laughed in the theater when you saw like little facial paralysis Simba go, no. I'm like, ugh. And it's funny what you said. I actually cut out a segment in that video talking about Lion King. I said it looks like a National Geographic documentary. And why didn't Disney just use that footage and do a voiceover to save millions on the CG animation? But yeah, I agree with you. It's just bizarre. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking nowadays. And some people's excuse, like if somebody wants to like have a rebuttal to that, they're like, well, it's the Lion King for a new generation. And I'm like, so the new generation is being introduced to a mediocre version of something that already exists. So that means like the quality standards keep going down and down and down. So pretty soon everyone just expects mediocre, and that's not. You shouldn't have that as a base. Yeah, it insulted me. Like the new Lion King was insulting. Like the new Aladdin live action movie wasn't good, but
I didn't even watch it.
It's bad. It's bad, but. And I love Aladdin is my favorite animated Disney movie of all time.
But so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Only your fleas will keep you company. But the new Aladdin at least tried something new. It wasn't exactly a copy and paste. There's a few different things, and the genie had sort of a different backstory. And I was like, okay, fine, I can live with that. But the new Lion King, man, I hopefully Disney learned a lesson, or maybe they didn't because the movie made a crap ton of cash. I don't know.
Yeah, and they made money off of people like me who are like, yay, Lion King, I love that movie. Maybe I can relive that old magic. And I didn't.
Yeah, or like new kids, like I can only imagine like a little kid going to see that for the first time, and they don't know any better. And they're like, okay, that was mildly entertaining with like facial paralysis lions talking. But then like, I wish here's what I want. I almost want to put this like to a lab experiment. Speaking of this, I wish I could take like a 8-year-old kid who saw that for the first time in the theater, the live action Lion King, and then set them down and have them watch the animated version and then like get their opinion on it to really grasp like how much they enjoy the animated over the live action.
Dude, that I would love that experiment. I'm sure people have like done that. Like maybe parents have been like, "This is terrible. Like, let's sit down and watch a real movie."
Yeah, it makes me wish like I don't know. God, it sounds like a really good video, like a YouTube idea. I just how do you approach a little kid in a park? Hey, do you want to watch a Lion King? Like, no, you don't do that. So, yeah, but
group.
yeah, yeah.
What would you say? I actually had a really interesting conversation with my friend Will on the show about what I'm about to say. I'm genuinely worried with like what kids talk about like when they're older, like what they grew up with. Because like me and you, we can be like, oh shoot, like we love like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, like we grew up with like movies and like cool like video games like Mario and stuff. Like, but like the content that's popular with kids today is like stuff that you forget about in 5 seconds, like TikToks and Vines and stuff like that. And do you think
Fortnite.
that will be a problem? Yeah, like Fortnite.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think it will because like you just said, everything's like so on the fly now. It's like this big thing that hits for 2 weeks and dissipates instantaneously and won't stand the test of time. Yeah, it does make me wonder what kids will talk about in 20 years, like when they reminisce about their childhood. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they have Marvel, and I'm going to talk about Marvel even when I'm old. Like, I love the Marvel movies. And like if that's the coolest thing kids talk about when they're older, then I would be cool with that. But I just don't see kids like referencing it. Like, remember that TikTok came out on March 4th, like 2019.
Yeah.
Almost the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of an interesting thought, isn't it? Or like that Facebook post I made December 14th, 2014. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? Huh.
We got a comment. My friend Brandon said Tiger King. That's what they'll reminisce on.
Oh yeah. Well, I know I will. Carol Baskin.
Carol Baskin.
Well,
I still haven't watched that.
What?
Yeah, I know. I need to watch it.
Dude,
I have no excuse at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things like it sounds so overhyped at this point, and I agree with you. I watched it and it was one of those things that progressively just got better and better and trashier as it kept going on, and I love that.
You're a fan of trash TV.
Oh, I love pure trash. I love it. I love it. I love it. The Tiger King is one of those shows where you can watch it. You can it has like a sense of voyeurism, but you don't actually have to like live in it. You can just sit back in the comfortable, sanctity of your house and watch this show. And I love it, man. Tiger King, in all honesty, sort of reminds me of my stepdad's family, just a little bit, minus man. Tigers. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
I've not heard good things about the dynamics of the relationships on that show. So
it's definitely a weird trio of love. I'll say that. It has a murder plot. It's got a guy who's like Joe Dirt who you got to watch it, man. I don't know how you haven't yet. Please give it a watch. Give it like 3 episodes. If you're not like loving it by the 3rd episode, just stop.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. What's some like other movies that you just finished watching and you were like, you were like, that wasn't just bad, that was insulting, like to watch as a moviegoer?
Sometimes my brain cuts off. I'll tell you, I think disappointing movies and bad movies sort of have like the same place for me, because I feel like there's some movies that have everything they need to be a great film. They have all the potential, and then they completely just drop the ball. And to me, that's like hurts me inside. Like Terminator: Dark Fate, right? I love T2.
Your number 1, wasn't it?
Number two.
Okay.
Yeah, but it could have been number 1. Countdown was. But yeah, Terminator: Dark Fate, right? Like millions of dollars. You're getting Arnold back. You have Linda Hamilton coming back. You can write a script doing anything you want. So what do? They retcon T2 within the first 2 minutes of the movie. They just slap everyone in the face, and then they make a boring remake or a reboot of T2 then after that point. And I just think out of all the things you could do in this franchise, How did you think this was going to be a good idea? And it just blows my mind that the people getting paid millions of dollars, the script writers, the directors, the producers, uh, this is the culmination of all of their ideas put together, and this is what we had to look forward to in modern day cinema. I don't know. It gives me no hope for the future.
Dang. Is there a reboot or just some movie coming out in the near future that you're like crossing your fingers like please don't mess this up? For me, it's Space Jam 2.
Oh yeah, I do. I kind of forgot about that happening. I was never a diehard fan of the Space Jam movie, even as it came
I
out when I
love
was in
that
like,
movie.
yeah, I know people do. It came out what 95 or 6, right?
Yeah, I was like 2 when it came out, but I like grew up watching it. Like my friends loved it, and I watched it with them. I was like, "This is the coolest movie ever." It's got Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I remember liking it. I just was never like I was like watching Mortal Kombat in second grade as opposed to like Space Jam, but I think it'll be cool though. I hope it's cool.
Mhm.
I'm curious how they make it. I'm trying to think what are a few other rebooted movies coming out. See, there's probably 25 rebooted movies, but
My friend
after
Brandon commented and said the Ghostbusters. It's not a remake,
yeah.
Brandon. It's a sequel, but it looks really interesting.
Yeah, it's well, they're pretending like the 2016 never happened version of Ghostbusters, and
Which is good.
oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. What's the director's name? His dad directed the original. Uh,
Yeah, I forgot his name, but he's
Reitman,
actually yeah, he's made a couple movies. I can't remember what they were, but I
Up in the
remember
Air.
being like, yeah, he's a very capable director.
Yeah. Here's the only thing though. He has a very specific style that
Mhm.
works for like independent films, like Up in the Air and things like that. Directing like a Ghostbusters movie, I don't know. Maybe it'll have like the heartfelt emotion. Maybe it'll be like that Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters, which would work for me. Pretty much as far as like remakes go or reboots. After watching the Point Break remake, I no longer look forward to any remakes. I just never
Fair
again.
point. That was
Yeah,
pretty bad.
it was not even a real movie. It was less than like a Netflix movie.
Oh my gosh. I
Yeah.
think I love movies like that for the sole reason, like whenever they make a social media account, I think that movie and the RoboCop reboot like follow me on Twitter still to this day, and they're just like sitting there doing nothing,
Just rotting away.
and I'm just like, why you're wasting a follow?
Oh
But thank
yeah,
you.
but it's cool that RoboCop follows you in a way, right?
I was just like, this is the weirdest thing ever. And like some Kevin Hart movie followed me forever ago, and then they like renamed it to another Kevin Hart movie that came out the next year. So I was like very confused on my follows. I was like, who's this?
That's odd. Yeah, gosh, I'm sort of actually jealous that RoboCop follows you.
The new RoboCop, not the
Yeah,
cool 80s RoboCop.
yeah. The moon looks lovely this evening. I love RoboCop. I could go watch that right now, actually.
I could too. It's a fun movie.
Paul Verhoeven, man, just like blood squibs, practical effects. It's violent. It's everything like movies should be nowadays, but they're completely not.
And it's R-rated, which is awesome.
Dude, yes, like it's not regurgitated baby food put into a blender for easy consumption. It's like this is a movie. This makes you a man when you watch it. Yeah,
I
so
remember I've seen articles that are like, because I've seen a lot of people complain about like, why is this movie rated PG-13? It should be rated R. And I've saw an article is like, quit complaining about this and just watch the movie or whatever. I'm like, there are some movies that deserve an R rating for it to be good, and RoboCop should always be an R-rated movie.
yeah. When you have to compromise the style or the tone or the integrity, to make it PG-13 and water it down, then it's no longer that movie. So yeah, I agree. Like, not everything needs to be rated R, obviously, but RoboCop, yeah, that's a rated R movie.
Oh, absolutely. But what are some other movies that you're looking forward to like to talk about on your channel?
When movie are you talking about? Like when movies actually start coming out again at some point,
Uh,
hopefully.
I mean, like, do you want to do more like classic reviews, so, like since nothing's coming out, or you can be, the guy that reviews Trolls World Tour?
I can't do it. I can't succumb to that. I just We, I'm one of those guys on YouTube. I'm very selective about the movies I review. I don't do a lot of reviews. Like I'm not the guy who reviews every single movie every week. I just don't do it. I typically review the movies I want to talk about, good or bad. So yeah, like I'm really looking forward to like Tenet. Hopefully that comes out midsummer and you can go to the theater and preferably not die. But as far as like reviewing some classic movies, there's a few I would like to get to. There's a few other series I mentioned that to you previously that I would maybe like to do like a monthly series, kind of just a deep dive on maybe an older movie and give some deep thoughts on it. That could be one potential idea. But I've
I
always
wanted
wanted
to
to.
talk about that, but I didn't know
Oh
if
yeah,
you were
yeah, sure,
down since
yeah,
it's not been made.
yeah. Let's go for it.
But yeah, so the way I got connected with John, I think this was really interesting. So my friend sent me a DM, and John tweeted it out and said, "Hey, looking for some like a countdown thing for like top tens and make it 80s." And my friend Clay messaged me, and was like, "Hey, dude, this is your favorite thing is the 80s aesthetic." And I was like, "What? I'm gonna totally give this a try." So I like sent John like I really like, and like I love it. And then so we got connected, and now he wants me to this really cool like, analysis series that he's wanting to do. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. By the way, thank you for the countdown graphics. I appreciate it. You did a really good job.
Were
Uh,
fun to make.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so I just had this idea. I've had it for a couple years now, and I want to do kind of like an analysis type, informative video where I give some details on like one of my favorite movies and some facts along the way with my personal connection, and really do change up the format to oppose to what I do now. I wanted way more video clips and graphics, and that's why I might need Trevor to do that for me and be my editor on the project. Because you know, could I do it? Maybe, but I just would rather have someone just like can dedicate the time, and I can put the time somewhere else. And you can give that special little 80s nostalgia touch to it. That's really what I want. I want it to just feel like it's pure 1980s. And
I can
so,
do that. That's
yeah,
my specialty.
that is your specialty, man. Yeah, I definitely. So yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully, maybe we get one out in the next month or so. I'm still.
Heck
It's
yeah.
just one of those things, though. It's just like every time I want to do like a passion project like that, there's like 10 obligations I have to finish to get to it. It's how my life's been for the last couple of years. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, I totally do. I have two documentaries sitting in my computer right now that I have not even synced the audio to.
Uh,
So
does
it's frustrating. Like I finally synced one today, like for one interview, and I was like, oh, that felt so good.
Yeah, it always does. Like I'm one of those guys. I procrastinate. I'm really bad at procrastinator. I always have been, and I wait literally until the last second to do anything. And I don't try to short myself when I do it. I'll still try to make what I envisioned originally, but I just for some odd reason when I have a countdown clock and it's counting down very fast, I find like under pressure, it's stressful. I hate it. I don't know why I put myself in that position every time, but I always pull it out. But the payoff when you get something done in the last second is like so fulfilling. Like you fall backwards and you breathe a sigh of happiness. And it's just like I did that yesterday with my top 10 videos. Like I barely got them done. I had to get them done at a certain time and I did it. And then I went and slept for 15 hours. It was
That
really
felt
fun.
great.
Oh, it did. Yeah. And I woke up today and now we're here. So yeah.
John actually woke up 15 minutes before we started.
Yeah, no, not even. Yeah, you're lucky. I'm like even like wearing pants right now for this. Yeah. No, I've been up for a few hours, but yeah, that's what I like to do. And by the way, random side note, I what's the last movie that you watched?
The last movie that I
Yeah.
watched, I actually saw Office Space for the first time.
Whoa, what'd you think? What'd you think?
Dude, I loved it. I was like, this is brilliant. I love everything about it. Like my favorite part of the movie is you remember the neighbor, his like next door neighbor in the apartment. I
Yeah.
love whenever he has that huge argument with his friends, and then I forget the dude's name, but he like knocks. He's like, Sean, you want to come over? And you just hear him go, no, I don't want you fucking up my life too.
Yeah. Imagine you get your ass kicked for saying something like that. Yeah. I love it, man. That movie's great. That movie has so much rewatchability to me. And I sort of I remember the way he handled quitting his job. They're like, so you're going to quit? He's like, no, I'm just not going to go anymore. I've done that multiple times. So that movie sort of influenced me in a way. I love it, man. I love everything about that. The last movie I watched was actually Apocalypto on Amazon Prime.
Ooh.
Last night. It's such an underrated movie. Mel Gibson's like, in my opinion, his best movie he's ever made. But the weird thing is, if you watch it on Amazon Prime right now, the subtitles are all screwed up. So there's like no subtitles for the movie. But
so wait, are they screwed up or are there just none?
They're like screwed up. If you turn on captions, like closed captioning, you get like some text, but it comes like 4 minutes after they said it. So it's
I don't want to do that.
No, but here's the weird thing about Apocalypto, right? It's like watching a foreign film that's so well acted where the actions speak for themselves. Like there's some dialogue where you can guess what they're saying, but you don't know. But the thing that happened, the story is so well presented and filmed that you almost don't need subtitles to watch that movie and comprehend it.
Interesting.
The symbolism is completely there. And I was like, I felt like I was watching it like for the first time all over again. And it was kind of a therapeutic experience. I sort of enjoyed it.
That's rad. I was going to ask this question. Is there a review that is like, you think is like infamous on your channel where people just for the most part, just like did not agree with your opinion?
Oh, did not agree?
Everybody was like, what? You didn't like this? Or what? You like this movie?
Oh, dude, where do I start with that? There's probably been many. There's so many probably. There's some where people do agree, and I love that as well. But like, there's been a lot of movies where people love them, and I just think like they're good. That was good. I'll give it a B minus, and people are like, no, that's an A+ movie. And off the top of my head, it's usually like a comic book related movie that has like fandom behind it. Something like Black Panther. Like I didn't love Black Panther. I gave it like a positive score, but I said like this isn't going to be a memorable comic book movie. Like people like it right now. Once the hype dies, when it comes to the MCU, 5 years from now, no one's going to reference this as like that was the best movie. And I feel like that argument's been proven by now because who says like, oh, Black Panther is my favorite movie of the Marvel universe. Like it's okay to be good. It's a good filler movie in between a few of the bigger ones. But you know what I love more than anything on YouTube is when the trend was really hot back in like a couple years ago, but like doing reactions to trailers. And then you sort of predict your thoughts or feelings based on that trailer. So I remember me and Chris Stuckman on YouTube, we did like a trailer reaction for like Batman v Superman, like 4 or 5 months before the movie came out. And we both looked at it and we're like, that's terrible. That looks bad. It's going to be like discombobulated and like not fulfilling. And then the hardcore fanboys in the trailer or on the comments of YouTube on that video were like, you guys are stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. It's going to be the best movie ever. And then after the movie comes out and then give it a few months after that, you go back to that video and slowly but surely everyone starts agreeing with you after they've seen the movie. And that sort of like accreditates you a little bit inside. I always like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I like one example I can think of is like Jeremy Johns. He reviewed Suicide Squad and like liked it, and people still to this day are like, I don't listen to him. He likes Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've been guilty of liking like I gave Suicide Squad a positive grade. I gave Justice League a positive grade. I'm not proud of myself for these things. Like is
your mind changed? Like, would you give those?
Score? Oh yeah, those scores would go way down significantly. I guess the thing I can say is though in the videos I do mention my complaints. Like I don't blindly love the movies. I don't give them A grades. I give them like B minuses, right? But yeah, looking back now, I should have been a little harsher. I guess I wanted to like them more than I did, but I still noticed the flaws and mentioned them. But yeah, I should have gave like both those movies like Suicide Squad's like a D movie to me. It's not really a movie. It's like It's a music video montage of clips.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
like
music.
80 songs in that movie for no reason.
Well, yeah, well, the editing house that handled it was predominantly known for editing movie trailers and like music videos.
That makes so much sense now. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why you got a movie that looked like a movie trailer or a music video. Yeah,
That's so funny. To go
yeah.
back, that I just thought of this for Black Panther like not being memorable. I kind of give it, and as much as I love this movie, I kind of can compare it to Space Jam.
Mhm,
Space Jam has a banger soundtrack, like
mhm.
that undeniably an amazing soundtrack. Black Panther also has like an undeniably amazing soundtrack, and I feel like that also like contributed to why it's like legendary status in the Marvel universe.
Oh, like the soundtracks elevated it a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
people are
that
like,
happens.
yeah, Kendrick Lamar, yeah, The Weeknd.
Yeah. Well, when you like cater to a certain like demographic or fan base, and you give them like something that they relate to outside of the movie, like you just tack on like that soundtrack where people already
Mhm.
love that music, and you tack it into a movie that's it's okay. It does elevate it. And it tricks your brain into liking it a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. Like, I rewatched Space Jam because it just came out on Netflix, and I was like, this movie is not great, but I still love it. It's so good. It's still like it's just whimsical. I think that's why I like it. It's got that Spielberg vibe to it.
Yeah, I could see that. It's got like the Space Jam was like the '90s version of like Roger Rabbit, right? It was like
Mm.
live action animation mixed with or animation mixed with live action. So yeah, I think it was just that for a new generation. But speaking of that, did you like Roger Rabbit as a kid? I know that's a
I
weird
I
question.
loved it, and I watched it a couple years ago, and I was like, because people are telling me, I had a conversation with some buddies, and I was like, "Oh, Roger Rabbit, remember that movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, that not good movie." And I was like, "No, it's great." And they're like, "Watch it again." And then I
Yeah.
watched it, and I was like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about now."
Put him in the dip. Yeah, I don't care what Jessica Rabbit. That's the most beautiful thing that's ever been animated. I don't whatever. I'll argue all day about that. But
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn this way.
yeah, yes, like you devious lady, you. Yeah, I haven't watched. In all fairness, I have not watched Roger Rabbit since probably, man, 2000 mid early 2000s. I own it somewhere, I think, but
I will say, if anybody watches it, if you're listening, if you do watch it, I think everybody should watch it. You should watch it for the technical aspects
hmm,
because there's a scene. I think it's called uh, like Flick the Lamp or something like that.
mhm.
The scene where Roger and Eddie they're handcuffed and he's like trying to move it. Roger bumps his head into this lamp, this overhead lamp, and it starts swinging. And if you look at Roger, the light is like moving over him like the lamp does, like a normal person. And that was the hardest scene to animate in the entire movie. Like
Really.
the editor or the animators will tell you that because they had to like it wasn't digital, they had to do it all by hand. So
Mhm.
they had to animate all those lights like frame by frame and like study like how a light would like go over Roger. And it's
Yeah,
that's one of the most fascinating like movie like facts I've ever heard.
that is mind blowing, isn't it? It's like this was
Mhm.
back in a time where you actually had to have like pen to paper to make it happen. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a crazy time. Like you as a like a filmmaker, right? You like to shoot things. You like to make music videos, short films.
Mhm.
But right now, at your disposal, like you have technology, you have a computer, you have a Mac, you have a camera. You just plug it in. You can do it right there at your desk. Do you think you would still want to be a filmmaker if it was like 1985?
Ooh, that is a good question. I didn't know the interview would be flipped. um, I I genuinely love the art of film. Like that's what got me into it. So I would almost say yes. But here's the thing, and I talked about this with a guest of mine, Isaac, um, that was on the in here a couple weeks ago. But like filmmaking used to be a rich man's game. Like it
Mhm.
is not the way it is today. Like anyone can be a filmmaker now. I truly believe that. Whether you make good films is a completely different story. But like back in the early days, like even in the 80s and sometimes the 90s, like filmmaking was a rich man's game. So giving my circumstances of where I was and everything, probably wouldn't have been, you know, able to film. I'd probably have to use like a Super 8 camera or something like that. That's what like J.J. Abrams and Steven Spielberg started with.
Yeah.
So I would say yes, just because I love the art. But that is a great question, though.
Yeah, I always think of that way too. I think like if it was 1995, like how would I make movie reviews? Would I would I have like a public access channel between the two ferns or something? I don't know. Um,
Flicks World, Flicks
Thanks
World.
for yeah. That's why I love Wayne's World so much. It's like
Mhm.
the best representation. If you switched it around with YouTube, it's like the perfect modern day movie. I'm still maybe they'll remake that with the YouTube or something, but
I don't know, but I wouldn't
I,
mind that.
I could see like a modern day movie like that being made where YouTube is like the backdrop, just two guys hanging out. Um, but yeah, it makes me wonder like what would I do if this was like the mid 90s? I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. How would I talk about movies? What would I do? And but there's also like another factor though, like with everyone having this access to this technology, there's a lot of great people that have they put out great work, but there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's clogging it in a way.
Mhm.
So it's hard to stand out even if you make great content. So back in like say it was the mid 80s or early 90s, if you made something great and you submitted it somewhere, it would get noticed. Like it would stand out. Like, look, have you ever listened to like Kevin Smith talk about the way he made
Yeah, I
Clerks?
was about to bring that up.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
beautiful story.
Yeah, it sort of all happened by chance, but I mean the guy had a vision. He made his movie that he wanted to make with some credit card debt or whatever and shot it and submitted it to a film festival and the right guy just happened to see it playing at a theater and that sort of jump started his career and but now like everything's different, right? Everyone if you make something great, you can release it to a film festival or you can send it around as much as you can or you have to release it on YouTube and hope the right person sees it. So it's sort of like it's such a catch 22. It's like easier to make, harder to get noticed.
Yeah, and I felt that too. I remember I tweeted this earlier in like January, and this was in no way like me complaining, but last year was the most amount of content I've ever made in my life because I like made the move to Atlanta. But it was the least amount of views I've ever gotten on any of my videos like I've ever posted.
Hmm.
But I was like, you know what? But I'm like happier than I've ever been, and I would rather be a filmmaker that makes a lot of things and gets better every time than just like, make something every now and then and gets a lot of views, honestly.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. There's sometimes you just got to do the things that you want to make and get the idea out of your head. I completely agree. What do you want? What do you want to do with like for example, what do you want to do with like your YouTube channel? What is
I'm
your
still figuring it out. So I've
yeah
been uploading all these episodes and I'm going to start doing like clips, but I don't know. I don't want to become the podcast channel.
yeah
Really, I just want to make short films and I love like meme videos. Like I put out a me celebrating Space Jam 2 video yesterday that like it did decently for the amount of like followers and stuff I have. But I just would love to make like short films and I also would love to do like reaction channels. I know it sounds like just a hodgepodge or not hodgepodge, but like a mosh pit of like a bunch of different things. So I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm trying to find my niche.
me too.
No, dude, you've definitely found it. You
No,
people
I
who
do.
love movie reviewers.
Yeah, but the least favorite video I make are movie reviews. I don't. I feel like it's
Interesting.
not. Yeah, you sit there, you talk about the movie, and like I get it, I like it overall, but I'd rather make like a flick trip video to Walmart. I'd rather make a vlog video. I want to go out and like show this, do this, have some variety in the video rather than just like this static shot of me staring at the camera for 7 minutes, right? But you know what you should do? Here's a weird, it's a crazy trend on YouTube, especially for like filmmaking, like you do. People people love to watch the making of like how you made your short film, like the gear that you use, the behind the scenes.
Hmm.
They like that goes further than like the actual short film itself. It seems like
Yeah, and
on YouTube.
I have like a notes section on my iPhone, like where I just like write down or type in my ideas. And one idea that I had that I've really wanted to do is like there's plenty of like editing tutorials and everything on YouTube. Excuse me. But I don't see a lot of videos that go through like your thought process and like why you put a particular shot where it was, why you did like the sound effects of this particular part, the music selection, yada yada yada. So I thought it'd be cool to go through some of my older films that I made last year and just be like, hey, this is why I made this decision and everything. So that might be a thing, or I might just do like on-site BTS for my films too. Like it's always good to have BTS
Oh yeah,
footage
dude.
on your sets.
Yeah, no, you should definitely do both ideas actually. I could see that. Like integrate it with you talking to the camera like you're talking right now, then
Yeah,
show like the screen capture of like your software and like why you moved to this year, why they're yeah, that's the kind of stuff like for your niche, like filmmaking, that's the kind of stuff that does very well on YouTube. So you should definitely you should do that idea.
I might try it. I have another idea that I wrote down where I just talk about, and I know I've mentioned Space Jam like 600
It's
times.
the theme of the show is Space Jam, yeah.
I get I'm just really hyped because it was announced yesterday and it was a huge part of my childhood. But I talked about this with my roommate James, where we do a shot for shot remake of some of the scenes, and then in between, I talk about how much I love the movie and stuff like that. So like integrating it with like filmmaking and like you remember the opening of the movie where he's like shooting a basketball and his dad comes outside.
Oh,
Like
that'd be a good scene. That'd be a good
yeah,
scene
I
to
thought
do.
about starting it out with that. Like, you got I Believe I Can Fly playing in the background.
Yeah.
And then I wanted my friend James to come out and be like, Trevor, what are you doing, man? It's midnight. And I'm like, oh, I just was thinking about reviewing Space Jam. And his dad in the original movie, he says like, I want to play for North Carolina. He's like, North Carolina, that's a fine school, real fine school. So whenever I say I was gonna do a review for Space Jam, and he's gonna go Space Jam. That's a fine movie, a real fine movie.
That's
So
awesome.
so like I wanted to get like that cool like drone shot, or they didn't have a drone, they had like a crane shot like
Yeah.
of Michael playing, and so it'll be me like terribly playing basketball, and then I'll probably say a line like then I'm gonna play for the NBA, and then James is gonna be like, don't do that. And then I want to go into that, like, you remember that sick montage in the intro where it's like Michael Jordan just dunking. Like I
Yeah.
wanted it to be a
Take it to the
montage
Space
of
Jam. Yeah.
exactly, like I wanted it to be a shot or a montage of me like dunking on like a 5 foot goal and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like a Fisher Price goal. Yeah, dude. That'd be awesome. If
So
you,
that's some ideas.
or you could reenact the golf course scene with Bill Murray,
Oh, that would be so
where you
hard.
get
I
sucked down
do.
into the hole.
That is one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I love Bill's reaction where he's like Wayne Knight, he like takes a picture and then Michael goes down the hole and then Bill just looks at him and is just like, what kind of camera is that? And just grabs it and throws it.
Yeah. It's only something Bill Murray would add into it.
He's one of my favorite comedic actors for those reasons, just because like he can say things that no one else can say and make it work.
Oh yeah, the deadpan. It's just that deadpan like humor. He's the master at it.
Oh yeah. But what are some of your other favorite comedic actors?
Oh man, in recent years, it's hard to pick one. I mean, you go back to like the 90s, I was a huge fan of like Chris Farley.
Oh yeah.
I love outrageous physical comedy. And
Mhm.
like whenever like in Tommy Boy when it has like the flashback scene where he just completely like loses his is it Tommy Boy? I think it's Tommy. Yeah, it's Tommy Boy. Where he's like at his frat house party and he just like goes stiff and falls into the table and it breaks. I'm like that makes me laugh. I don't know.
I genuinely I would love to do like an analysis video on this, like because people today complain about like fat jokes and everything,
Yeah.
and I was just like, how can people praise Chris Farley for like falling over stuff and pretty much like Beverly Hills Ninja is just one long fat joke. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But it like Chris Farley made it work, even though it's not a really good movie.
Mm-mm.
But like I find it fascinating that people hate Kevin James for the same reasons people love Chris Farley.
Kevin James is like a guy who's not funny trying to be funny. Chris Farley just naturally felt like that was his personality, and
Yeah.
that's what made it funny. It didn't feel like a corporate entity trying to be comedic. Yeah, Kevin. I guess it's just humor is if you connect with someone's personality, you find them funny or
Mhm.
you don't, right? Um, I had something else to say about Chris Farley. It wasn't. I don't remember, but
Side note about Kevin James.
yeah.
Have you seen his sound guy sketches that he's been doing on YouTube?
I watch nothing with Kevin. Are they good?
Actually, I was surprised that it's actually really good. So basically, like, he's done a couple of them, but my favorite one, he did the I Am Legend scene where, remember, he's talking to the mannequin and he's like, "What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why are you here?" So basically, Kevin James it gets replaced with or he green screens himself into the movie, but he like replaces himself with the mannequin. But he's like the sound guy for the movie set, and Will Smith is like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm here to do sound." And it's actually really funny. And
Really?
like, he's
Okay.
not. There's no fat jokes. It's just him like almost a deadpan. It's brilliant.
Really? It'd be funny. Speaking of that, if they did like the live action shot of the freak out with Christian Bale on the set of Terminator
Oh
Salvation,
my gosh, that would be
because all we have
perfect.
is audio. So
Yeah.
imagine if they could make like the actual live version of that, and Kevin James could play the sound guy in that as well.
He also does the Notebook scene. He replaces himself with Rachel McAdams, and Ryan Gosling's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "I'm just trying to get your sound, man." Like, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, did you ever see the Ryan Gosling eats cereal thing?
Yes, that was a great meme for a while.
That's awesome.
Like, just trying to feed him, and he just like.
And
Ryan Gosling, he actually reacted to that at some point.
yeah,
Like,
I remember that.
he made like one Vine on his Vine channel, and it was just him like going
Eating it. Yeah,
finally eating the cereal.
that's good stuff.
Oh yeah. But dude, like it was great having you on the show. Is there anything else you'd love to tell the audience or just want to say in general?
Uh, no, I have no thought provoking inner sayings or anything. Yeah, I have nothing. But thank you for having me, man, and definitely have me back. And this was fun.
Please.
It's always fun to talk about movies and random nonsensical things like
Beverages.
beverages and Space Jam, and yeah.
Hope I didn't annoy you too much with the Space Jam stuff.
No, dude. Yeah, dude. Talk about whatever you want. Next time, maybe like we can talk about like Mortal Kombat or something.
Yeah, totally. We'll make it the Mortal Kombat show, and I'll
There you
shut
go.
up about Space Jam.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
But guys, follow and subscribe to the Flick Pick on YouTube, and you can follow him on all social medias. Is it the Flick Pick on everything?
Yeah, it works. Yeah, the Flick Pick.
Yeah, totally. By the way, your name is like perfect for what you do. Flick Pick. Like,
Yeah, last name's Flickinger. That's my real
Yeah.
name. People don't believe me. It's Flickinger, and it's weird. It's just like it was meant to be.
yeah. And I didn't want to like get too deep in this. Probably would have been a great thing to like start with, but like, how did you get like started with like loving? Have you always loved movies, or did it like kind of kick in at like a later age?
Dude, I'll give you the short answer. Yeah, I remember always liking weird movies growing up. Me and my dad would always go to the theater to watch rated R action movies when I was like 6 years old, like True Lies. I saw that in the theater. I saw Last Action Hero, just a lot of crazy movies. And he would always like record movies on HBO on like beta tape. And I remember we had this huge shoebox of like beta tapes. This is like the earlier version of VHS, everyone. And I just randomly watch movies that way. That's how I discovered like a lot of weird, bizarre movies, like The Warriors, which is like a late 70s weird, bizarre gang movie where some of the gang members rollerblade around and some of them dress like baseball players. Anyway, so I've always liked movies. And then I started looking at movies differently, maybe in like 2005. I remember seeing Batman Begins, and I was like, something about this like transcended just watching a movie to more than me. And then soon as then years later, I made YouTube videos, and I was like, I want to talk about movies now because I have thoughts and things I want to, get out of me and present to a camera, and hopefully people agree or disagree, whatever, but at least it will exist on YouTube in some kind of way. So,
And react to the Batman v Superman trailer years later. And get
yeah, that was all built up to that.
But John, thank you so much for watching. Next time you're on the show, we'll definitely pick that brain a little more, get deep into your thoughts, and talk about some movies more, talk about some beverages, maybe some Mortal Kombat. But
Awesome.
Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you guys have a blessed day.
The moon looks lovely this evening.